Hello, welcome to Talking Tactics, your go-to podcast for all things EPL SuperCoach. I'm the SC Whisperer, joined by SC Deadly, two veteran multi-sport SuperCoach personalities, I guess we could say. Talking Tactics, no fluff, no big six bias, just straight up strategy and ball talk. Each week, we're going to be breaking down the key matchups, form trends, trade targets, and captaincies to help you climb the 38-week rank. If you're tired of the noise and just want solid SuperCoach insight, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Deadly, episode 1. We are here to talk about the big men in between the sticks, the foundation of a good defense, the goalkeepers, and there is a plethora of them, all different price points, all different strategies. Obviously, SuperCoach implementing the rookies, mid-price, and premium pricing rather than like an FPL model, which is sort of 4.5 mids and 5 mids and premiums. Mate, there's so much to unpack today.
100%, you're right. And the way SuperCoach EPL has gone about the pricing on some of these guys is quite hilarious, especially some of these goalkeepers. Like, realistically, Martin Dubravka being the second most expensive goalkeeper in the league is pretty funny. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of value out there. Definitely a lot of guys that we can definitely avoid because of that price point and that reason. But yeah, it should be good to rip into it and talk into it.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got a bone to pick with one goalkeeper, and that will sort of tie into our what's on the show today. So on today's show, we're going to go around the league. We're going to talk about all things that have happened in the wonderful world of English Premier League. We're going to do the people's picks. So we're going to go through the top 10 owned, give our thoughts on all 10 of those. The stock rises. Deadly and I are going to present one goalkeeper that we're quite bullish on. We're going to do the red card, which is one player that we're fading and absolutely no chance of being in our teams. And then we'll wrap up. Ideally, first episode, no idea how long this is going to go for, but what to expect in the preseason. We'll be doing goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, strikers, and then we're basically into the 38-week grind, which is the EPL season. SuperCoach opened this one up quite late, so we've only got about 20 days until the season, which is good. Less time for tinkering. But let's get into, if I've got my soundboard right. I've got it right. There we go. We'll talk about around the league, mate. This one is all on you. There is plenty to talk about. Transfers, injuries, preseason fixtures.
Yeah, well, to start, looking at the goalkeepers, there's been a plenty go on in the past 48 hours or so, with probably the main goalkeeper transfer of the window so far being James Trafford on his way back to Manchester City for an English record-breaking goalkeeper deal for 40 million. Now, the big thing with Trafford is he's not going to start unless Ederson leaves, who's linked to Galatasaray, who they've been on and off all preseason, mate. And same with Stefan Ortega, who's been, Man City's backup for the best part of 5 years now. And he's looking like he was on his way to Burnley in a swap deal. Now that's sort of on hold. So to start, Trafford, most expensive. They spent a lot of money on him to maybe be a third stringer at this rate, but we'd liked him to be the starter at 3.9 million in SuperCoach EPL.
Yeah, and like we'll talk on him sort of more in detail because he does feature in the top 10. But it's very interesting what they do because Ortega has been unreal when he's been given the chance for City when Ederson's been out. I still remember that one-on-one save against Son 2 years ago, which effectively won them the title. Obviously, Ederson, in his prime, top 5 keeper in the world. Not sure if he's there these days, second behind Alisson in terms of the Brazilian ranks. But yeah, you've got 3 very, very good quality players. The talk was they were going to let Ortega go, which would then see a battle of Trafford and Ederson. I think Pep loves the way Ederson plays, so I'm not sure where Trafford fits in the right here and now. But we'll talk on him more, mate. Anything else to cover around the league?
Yeah, so there's been a few more transfers. One notable one that I'm sure you'll bring up a lot later is Kelleher from Liverpool on his way to Brentford, looking to probably lock down that starting number 1 spot for them. Looking elsewhere around the league, Emi Martinez, who is suspended game week 1 for Aston Villa. He's been linked to a loan move for Manchester United for pretty much the whole window now. So if that comes to fruition, who knows? Besides that, not too much relevancy-wise. There's been Dorde Petrovic go from Chelsea to Bournemouth, who will probably beat out Neto for the starting goalkeeper spot there. And one guy, Carl Darlow, who we sort of thought might be a bit of a dream at min price starting goalkeeper, but that sort of looks to be dead and buried with the signing of Lucas Perry from Olympic Lyonnais. So, yeah, plenty's happened in the goalkeeper department, but the main big six guys are still kicking about with their teams at the minute. So, yeah, still plenty to play out this transfer window.
Definitely. And the beauty of EPL is the transfer window will continue on into the season. I think it's the first week or two of the season. So who knows what's going to be happening. But yes, let's talk the people's pick. We'll run through the 10 most popular players. We're going to call it any surprises, any traps, any safe picks. And which ones we actually would own out of these top 10s. Matt, starting off with number 1, David Raya out of Arsenal, 6.7 million, 33.2% owned. We do have lovely stats here provided by Opta. In the very, very far left for people watching on video, I've highlighted the XG, the XCS, which is expected clean sheets, the actual goals conceded, and the clean sheets themselves. If you're not watching, then that's absolutely fine. We will still discuss them, mate. But if we filter by, XG, Arsenal, no surprise there at the top. David Raya, safe as houses, came in a couple of seasons ago. Overtook Aaron Ramsdale, and Arsenal have not looked back, mate. Last season, expected goals of 34.9. They actually conceded 34, so pretty much running expected there with goals conceded. But clean sheets, they were sort of probably a little bit under Arsenal. Only had 13 clean sheets themselves, expected to keep about 17. So running 4 under XC. David Raya, mate, 33% owned. I think it's for pretty good reason.
Yeah, I think it is very fair. I think clean sheets just as a whole were down in the whole Premier League last year. Like 13 was tied for first. So he's straight away, he was second, tied for the best with Matt Sells from Forest as the best clean sheet holder. But yeah, it's definitely fair enough. Arsenal, one of the most rock solid defenses in the whole of the Premier League, only looking to improve on that and potentially get some young guys back there like a Miles Lewis-Skelly, potentially playing left back for them this season alongside Gabriel and Saliba, who are probably the two best centre backs in the Premier League. David Raya, yeah, I think it's a fantastic pick. I'll never talk you out of going someone like a David Raya who's pretty safe and quite underpriced, to be honest, just due to the sort of slow back end of the year for him. Dropped his average a bit, which dropped his price for this season, which is good. The one concern I do have is sort of the opening 6 or 7 fixtures are a bit average for goalkeepers. So they do start off with Man United, who last season were pretty terrible, let's be honest. But they move into Leeds, and them two aren't bad matchups. But then they move into Liverpool, Forest, and Man City, and then even Newcastle straight after that. 4 matchups in a row, which 4 pretty tough matchups. 4 of the top 6 actually toughest matchups for goalkeepers in the Prem last season. So that's sort of my one little concern with David Raya is the season start for Arsenal isn't the greatest.
Yeah, definitely worth noting there. Price at an average of 6.4. That did drop half a point basically from game week 29. So from 30 until 38, only 2 double-digit hauls. And then when we're talking about points, we're looking at 8 points for a clean sheet, minus 2 points for every goal over 1. So if you concede 2, you lose 2, and then it's sort of 1 from everyone thereafter. You do get 1 point per goalkeeper save, which we wouldn't be expecting Arsenal to be racking up the shot saves, and 8 points for a penalty save as well. But from game week 30, mate, Fulham, Everton, Brentford, Ipswich, Palace, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Newcastle, Southampton. So only 2 really tough games in that final 8-week stretch. And yeah, just didn't really capitalize. Clean sheets weren't there. Save points weren't there. 1 10-pointer against Ipswich in game week 33 and 1 15-pointer against Newcastle in game week 37. Apart from that, everything was 2 or 3 points, which really did hinder him. So he probably does come in half a point to a point underpriced. But with David Raya, you're buying him and it's set and forget. Whether it's European competitions, domestic competitions, it doesn't really matter. He plays the whole season, which is sort of what you're wanting out of that $6.7 million asset. David Raya gets my tick of approval. If you are looking at him, then no concerns with picking him. I would imagine you're very much the same.
Yeah, I completely agree. If you're looking at David Raya, 100%, I'll back you with it because yeah, he's safe as houses. He's good for you for the whole season, barring no suspensions or injuries. He'll play every single Prem game.
Yeah, exactly, which is fantastic. The interesting thing here with the keepers, 33% for the top owned, 31% for the next, and then it really drops off to like 12%, and then everyone else is under. So it's really top heavy. And that is number 2, James Trafford, out of Man City. The app still has him at Burnley, but has had the here we go from Fabrizio Romano, which we know is as safe as houses. 3.9 million, not quite bottom dollar, but pretty much there or thereabouts. 30.6% owned. I was much keen on him 5 days ago when he was going to be the number 1 at Burnley. Now with the talk that he is not talk, the confirmation that he's at City. I'm not sure how redundant these City stats are, mate. But we look at them. If we look at sort of XG down at 47.4, conceded actually 44, expected clean sheets of 12.5, and actually had 13. So the defense last year for City pretty much ran as we would expect. The only major overhaul is Rayan Nori coming in from Wolverhampton. You would probably see him take up a position at left wing back there, and you have Josko Vardiol probably come in and play left centre back in a perfect 11. City were pretty hampered with injuries at the point last year, though. So I guess we're talking at Trafford as he's a number 1 option. I don't think he's going to be from game week 1. I've got absolutely no love for him whatsoever now. But if we're talking City defense, I think it does improve.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he will be my starting keeper, but it all depends on if Edison leaves, if Ortega leaves. If in the perfect scenario, I would love to run a Trafford and a loop option, which we will, I'm sure, talk about a little bit later, where goalkeeper loop looks to be the best thing to do, which is a new thing for EPL players, if you played FPL especially, and I'm sure we'll touch on it later. But yes, Trafford, 3.9 million. It's definitely underpriced for what he is capable of. In the Championship last season, he was phenomenal. Broke plenty of records goalkeeping wise. And yeah, he gets his big money move back to his boyhood club of Man City. But this one really depends on if Edison leaves and if Ortega leaves. He will not get a game if Edison stays. I would have rathered he went to Newcastle, to be honest, where he was also linked to go, because he probably would have locked down a number 1 spot in Newcastle. But being that Man City had a buyback clause, they were able to match Newcastle's bid and bring him home. But yeah, he gets my tick of approval if those boys leave. Otherwise, I've got no interest in him at all.
Yeah, 45 starts last year in the Championship, was an absolute phenom. The season before was relegated with Burnley, but as you said, gets the move back to Man City. And you also make alluding to looping, which is a huge thing in EPL SuperCoach this season, is the fact that we have a rolling lockout. So vice captaincies pop off, we can be looping. So maybe Trafford does have a viable option there to eventually start. You'll probably end up saving a transfer later on in the season when he does come in eventually. But for me, yeah, there's no way that I can have him as like my goalkeeper 1, or I can't be building around having him start. So no tick of approval for me with James Trafford. Unfortunately, Deadly's a bit more keen using as a loop, and I can understand the reasoning. Number 3 on the list, mate, Carl Darlow. Wales is number 1. Leeds, 3.5 million, 12.7% owned. This was looking like a fairy tale for us, getting a bottom dollar goalkeeper. But yeah, Leeds have been pretty active in the transfer market over the last week and have replaced Darlow as the number 1 option there between the sticks. He's 400k cheaper than Trafford. So if you are looking for a loop, he's probably a better option. But I just think the chances of him getting a game this season are dead. Not dead. Like, he will play here and there, but he's not someone that's going to be getting 15, 16, 17 starts this season, I think. And yeah, I expect this 12.7% to come right down as we get closer to kickoff for game week 1.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right. Yeah, signing a Lucas Perry, he will be the number 1 for Leeds this season. Look, I was sort of surprised that Darlow was even going to be the number 1. Melier wasn't fantastic in his games as of recent, but I still thought he was a better goalkeeper than Carl Darlow, full stop. But yeah, Lucas Perry will come in. He hasn't been put into the SuperCoach database yet, but he will probably be priced around mid 5s to 6s areas. And I don't think you can even look at Leeds as a goalkeeping team anymore. And just even looping wise, he is bottom dollar, but Leeds do play a lot of early games in the first couple rounds. So it sort of kills off his loop options for a few weeks anyway. So, yeah, it's big no from me for Carl Darlow.
Yeah, Ilan Melia, like 25 years old. Like we last saw him in the Prem, 2 seasons ago, and he was quite dismal. But definitely had a bunch of potential, and obviously just didn't kick on with his development in the championship. So the Frenchman's probably on the out there. But yeah, Carl Darlow, Welsh number one keeper. But yeah, I think his days as an option are done, unfortunately, and yeah, not looking at a loop option, not looking at his replacement either. I think there's just better guys here at probably a similar price that we can look at picking up. Number 4 on this list, mate, Arno Martinez out of Aston Villa, 5.7 million, 7.1% owned. I know that you're more strong on this than I am. I've got no faith that he plays 38 games in the Claret. I've got no faith that he gets significant game time if he does get a loan move to United. I just think that they'll transition away from Martinez, if not this season, definitely next.
Yeah, I think I've sort of mentioned this to you, and we'll talk about this a bit more later. But straight away, Emi Martinez, he's 7% owned. He's not playing game week 1. He copped a red card against Manchester United last game week of the season, last season. So he automatically misses game week 1 for whatever team he plays for, whether it be Aston Villa or for Manchester United. So Aston Villa's goalkeeper for game week 1, at least, probably looking like the Aussie legend Joe Gauchi at the minute. But yeah, Emi Martinez straight away, he is underpriced for what we know he is capable of. This guy's, Golden Glove winner 2 seasons ago, one of the best keepers in the whole world a couple seasons ago. Only 5.7 million, but at the same time, Villa were quite ordinary defensively last year, fantastic offensively. But Emi Martinez, I don't think you can possibly go there just straight away missing a game.
Yeah, no, nor do I. Like I'm just not keen at all on him. I just think there's better options for cheaper. And you're paying a slightly bit more for probably more proven guys. Like $1 million more gets you David Raya. $500,000 less gets you, Vicario. A little bit more gets you, Robert Sanchez as well. So he's just in that really awkward, non-premium, non-cheapy price bracket where he's just sort of priced at what he is. And he's not getting any younger. And I don't see Villa being like drastically improving defensively. I think they're a fine defensive team, but like nothing has changed in my mind to suggest that there is any value in Martinez. Mate, we talk about that premium price bracket. Alisson Becker, probably one of, if not the best goalkeeper in the world out of Liverpool, 7.4 million, 5.6% owned. What more is there to say about the big Brazilian between the sticks?
Yeah, it's fair enough. And look, if you're willing to pay up for one of the premium goalkeepers, he would be my pick of the top 5 at least anyway. Out of him, Kelleher, Dubravka, Edison, and Jordan Pickford. Yeah, he would be my pick for sure. He's safe as houses, Alisson. Whether he does play a full 38 games is a bit up in the air. We know Liverpool like to rotate a bit, and with the pickup of Mamadashvili, look, long name.
Mamadashvili.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Handy backup to have, I'll tell you that much.
Very, very much so.
Yeah, Alisson, behind a Liverpool defence, it's fair enough with 2 new pickups, especially as well in Jeremy Frimpong and Milos Kerkez. Look, if you're willing to spend up for a goalkeeper, he's my pick. And if you're willing to go there, you get my ticker approval.
Yeah, it's a very, very safe back 4. Kerkez, Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and Jeremy Frimpong. Like it's obviously losing Trent Alexander-Arnold to Real Madrid. Obviously Andy Robertson's not getting any younger as well. We look at their stats last year. 37.5 expected goals conceded, actually conceded 41, so probably running slightly worse than XG suggests. And yeah, kept 1.5 less clean sheets than we would imagine as well. So probably some value in there if they can revert back to the mean. But safe as houses did miss a portion of the season between sort of game week 8 and game week 15. But when they were on, like you just see a consistent run here of like between game week 22 and sort of game week 28, 17, 4, 15, 6, 16, 11, 6. Like it's just ultra safe when it comes to Alisson, and yeah, cannot fault the pick at all. If you're looking to spend up 7.4 million at a keeper, he is the guy. Absolutely rock solid. You do have Mamadashvili there. Look, I'm not expecting him to oversee him, but Mamardashvili is a very, very good goalkeeper, and I'm very shocked that he made the move to be a backup at Liverpool. It'll probably be his number one jersey in 2 or 3 years' time, but for now it's Alisson Becker's, and he's absolutely world class at 7.4 million. Number 6, it's Vicario out of Tottenham, 5.2 million, 4.3% owned. Tottenham had a stinking season last year, rampant with injuries. There was never a time where Van de Ven and Romero were playing together consistently. You had Dragovic, like it was just a mixed match. And at the back end of the season, it's well documented that Big Ange threw the towel in and just focused on Europe, and it really hurt Vicario's scoring. It hurt Tottenham's defense. They were very lucky not to get relegated. We do have Thomas Frank now coming in from Brentford as the manager, with Big Ange being sacked. I'm really bullish on Vicario. We'll talk about him after my stock rises, but 5.2 million for the upside I think that the Tottenham defense presents if they all do stay fit. I think it's really, really enticing. We look at their stats and we see them sort of bottom of the table here. 63 expected goals conceded, 65 total conceded, only 8.6 expected clean sheets, and only delivered 6. So definitely running below XG last year, even in a team that was poor. I think if we look at something like Brentford here, and no disrespect to Brentford's defense, but Mickey van de Ven and Christian Romero are just significantly better than anything they've got. I think they can be back to sort of that Man City level of defense last year, where they're only conceding 45 to 50 goals and potentially picking up 12 to 13 clean sheets this season, which is a big uptick.
Yeah, 100%. I do like the look of Vicario too. And, you think about it in Thomas Frank's systems, most teams in the past, they sort of, I guess you could call it a run and gun style, whether it be offense and defense. And Mark Flecken was a big beneficiary last year with having the most saves by a long way, because Brentford like to play in tight. They give up the wings a lot more. They cop a whole shellacking down the wing. A lot of crosses come in, which is good for the goalkeepers when it comes to saves and cutoffs and whatnot, which not many extra points fly about for goalkeepers, but there might be a couple cheeky ones there. Only thing with Vicario is Frank is yet to name a goalkeeper, and Kinski wasn't terrible in the couple games that he played last year. So does that sort of worry you that Kinski might be the guy, or is Vicario pretty well locked into you?
Yeah, that's obviously the concern. Like, there's some talk that Frank really likes the way that Kinski uses the ball out the back and plays with his feet. I think if we get some clear idea on who the number one is, then it makes me much more confident in picking Vicario. But I think the thing with Tottenham is like they're a team that I think can be decent defensively, but not like world class, which doesn't shut off save points. It doesn't shut off like contested possessions and stuff like that. So I think he's going to get a fair few shot saves. I think if he is the number one, we can expect 12 to 14 clean sheets this season. He just does have to beat out Kinski for the start, and if he doesn't beat out Kinski for the start, everything that I've just said about Vicario, I will say for Kinski as well. I think Tottenham can be a seriously improving defense next season, and keen to own whoever their number one is for the season. Mate, number 7 most owned, Bart Verbruggen out of Brighton, 4.9 million, slightly less than Vicario, 3.9% owned. Brighton, he's overseated Jason Steele, who overseated Robert Sanchez a couple of years ago. So it looks like it's Verbruggen's position to lose. My only concern with Brighton is I think this is just what you're going to get out of him. If you're looking for a consistent 5 points a game, I think he could be the guy, but won't offer you much more out of that.
Yeah, I think the big appeal for Verbruggen is a locked-on starting goalkeeper that's cheap for in EPL SuperCoach. Like, he is going to be the number one. He's still a young guy. He's still developing a little bit. He's only 22 now, I believe, which probably is the youngest locked-on starting Prem keeper. Really low on saves all of last year. Brighton potentially getting a bit worse on paper, squad-wise, might help that, but might kill off his clean sheet slightly. Look, I don't hate the Verbruggen move. I do think there is a little bit of money upside there, but at the same time, I would rather take a Vicario for 300k more expensive, or spend up a little bit more and get a Raya or someone like that.
The thing with Verbruggen, like with Brighton, it's a very up and down draw. I am using Fantasy Football Hub. We'll have a link in the description to sign up if you do want to sign up. There's plenty of premium assets, more for FPL, but I'm assuming people that are watching this probably play FPL as well. Fulham in game week 1, Everton away, into City, sort of Tottenham, Chelsea, Newcastle, United in the first 10. There's some decent fixtures there, though. You got Leeds at home, you got Wolves away, Bournemouth, Everton, Fulham as well. Projected of 2.6 clean sheets, but I think with Bart Verbruggen, you're getting a guy it's what it says on the tin. You know exactly what you're gonna get. You're not gonna get let down. And that the opening 10 fixtures are enticing enough for me to understand it, but I would probably look to spend up and get a Vicario, or just sort of spend down and go someone like a Dorde Petrovic or Trafford if he is starting. But it's a solid 6 out of 6, 7 out of 10 for Verbruggen. Mate, we're talking about your boy, big Everton fan, Jordan Pickford, number 8th most owned player, 7.7 million, 3.8%. I believe he is the second most goalkeeper, so the second best average last season. And every year he does this.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of just a, as a Everton boy, I don't know if you can see the posters behind me, but I got a whole bunch of Everton posters behind me, but it's the same sort of thing every year. And I'll tell you what, if we didn't have Jordan Pickford between the sticks, we'd be in a lot of trouble. We probably would be in League One by now.
Crawley Town on a Wednesday.
Yeah, that's it. No, but he's phenomenal. Basically led the league in a lot of these sort of external save stats and whatnot, expected save, these sort of advanced goalkeeper stats that, no one really looks deep into, but it's sort of the reason why his average is so high, just because Everton are so ordinary that the counter-attacking is just so on against them every single time. So Pickford has to do a lot. We know he's good by foot as well. So definitely decent at, transporting the ball out from the defensive backline, likes to get involved a little bit. But as an expensive guy, I'd rather take Alisson for 300k cheaper, knowing that the clean sheets are more available. Everton, while not conceding many goals last year, only the 44 really, and for 12 clean sheets, it was always just 1-0 losses, which, to be honest, the attack for Everton this year has improved a lot. I like the look of it, but the defense is still the same sort of boring thing. We're just sort of relying on Jared Branthwaite to develop a bit more and just pray that him and Pickford can save us at the minute. But I don't like our defensive stocks so far this year, and I think Pickford probably for me at the minute a bit of an avoid.
You talk about those advanced stats. I'm looking at FP Ref now. Everton did rank 6th for post-shot expected goals, which is a metric that uses basically how good of a quality a shot was compared to the saves. If I'm not mistaken, I think Pickford really improved once David Moyes came in as full-time manager. Had multiple 10-point hauls, finished the season with a 7, 12, 17. There's a 15-pointer in there. There's a 20-pointer in there. There was... oh, goodness, he had 7 weeks where he went 16, 12, 13, 14, 12, 14. And that was probably when Moyes came in and really sort of tightened up the back. So, if there is merit in there, I think he probably is underpriced at 7.7, which feels ridiculous to say because the stats did improve with David Moyes manning the ship. So, he's the guy. I think he'll play 38 games this season. If you've got concerns over Alisson Becker with Mamadashvili around there, then 300k more, you're going to get a guy that you're not going to be moving for the rest of the season, but $1 million less gets you like a Raya. Yeah. So it's really where you want to spend the money. I would have Pickford over Raya, but it's what you can do with that $1 million.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, sorry, you go.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. Look, if you go to these advanced metrics and look deep into it, then you'll probably find that the back half of the season, Jordan Pickford was one of the best keepers in the world. Just at those sort of different advanced metrics. You look at the post shot expected goals, this sort of stuff. The big one I like to look at is post shot expected goals minus the goals allowed, which is sort of tells you per shot how likely the goalkeeper is to save it, and it takes the goals like actually out of it. And you see Edison and Pickford led that. Alisson was 4th, only behind Mark Travers, who played 2 games, but we don't really look too far into that. But Edison, Pickford, and Alisson, probably the 3 best keepers the second back half of the season. So that's the one I like to look at a lot. Look, if you rate Pickford like me, I don't hate the pick, but I do think I would rather take Allison for 300k cheaper.
Yeah, just if knowing, especially with rolling lockout, I think knowing that you can make subs mid-game week is great, especially if we do get news that Allison's not playing for whatever reason. But yeah, Pickford just holds his Everton defense together. It's Pickford, it's Branthwaite, and not a whole lot more. So
Not much else.
yeah, no, it's yeah, I think he's a really, really good pick. I think in draft he's an absolute steal if you pick him up. A guy that you're going to be having all season and absolutely not worry about. And with Moyes there, I don't think you're going to get many of those more than 2-goal discrepancies against your score with Pickford as well. So if Everton do lose, it's generally like a 1-0 or a 2-1 type of affair.
Yeah.
Number 9, mate, Robert Sanchez, Chelsea's number 1, 6.9 million, 3.2% owned. Over the last couple of years, Chelsea have just had a backlog of keepers. Jorgensen, Petrovic, Ariza Alabalaga, and Robert Sanchez as well. But it seems like Sanchez has nailed down that number 1 role under Maresca. And yeah, really big on sort of any premium asset for 6.9 million is slightly more than probably I'd love to pay.
Yeah.
Looking at like a Raya at 6.7 compared to a 6.9 out of Chelsea. Look, I think with these teams and the defensive prowesses, sometimes Arsenal may get a clean sheet, but that might be all you get out of Raya, whereas someone like a Sanchez might face 10, 12 shots a game. But yeah, be able to still get a clean sheet and save points.
Yeah, I think it's fair. He's one guy that I'm quite high on. Just the opening matchups for Chelsea, it's probably the best in the league at the minute. And I think it's fair to say that, Sanchez was a guy who's now definitely locked down this number 1 spot with Dorde Petrovic now leaving for Bournemouth. Sort of position battle was going on there to start. Now Petrovic has left, sort of opening the door for Sanchez to be the guy. I like him a lot. Like if you look at just his stats from last season, he ranked 4th in the Prem for clean sheets, which was the most of anyone out of, who didn't play a full season. He had a couple weeks out injured. And yeah, there is with those, early matchups like, sorry, I'm just getting them up. We've got Crystal Palace, West Ham, Fulham, Brentford, Man United, and Brighton as first 6. There's definitely clean sheet points on offer there for Chelsea, who are only improving and spending a lot of money this transfer window on some attacking assets and even potentially getting Jarrell Hatto from Ajax to improve that defense as well.
Yeah, Chelsea obviously not shy of spending. 5th for expected goals against last season, 44.36, conceded 43, so ran a little bit hotter than we expected clean sheets of 12.2 and only had 11. I think that definitely couldn't bump up to 13, 14. If he's number 1 moving forward, then long-term, absolutely fantastic. Chelsea, you'd expect improving under another season of Maresca as well. So yeah, really like the pick, 6.9 million on that top end of what I want to pay, especially for number 1, personally for me, the way I'm structuring my team. But a guy that, yeah, I think has got huge haul potential and definitely a safe floor as well. I don't see Chelsea getting blown out, even in tough games against Liverpool, City, and Arsenal. So, yeah, I think against those weaker teams, he's going to feast against the middle table teams. I still think Chelsea would give up enough chances for him to rack up save points and still get the occasional clean sheet, 1 in every 3 or 4 games. And lastly, mate, Dorde Petrovic out of Bournemouth, 4.5 million, 2.6% owned. Really, really like the prospect of having Petrovic in that Bournemouth defensive system. We saw them last year be above average in terms of defense, 48.4 expected goals conceded, actually conceded 46, and expected clean sheets of 12, and only had 9. So ran a little bit worse you would expect in expected value for clean sheets. And I think that if that reverts back to the mean, that's a 3 clean sheet swing, which is 24 points, which is nearly a point a game, which would bump him up to much higher prices. 4.5 million, I think, is a really good price.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't like the pick, but I don't personally trust Bournemouth. And I do think there is still a slight position battle with him and Neto there. I don't know if Neto's going to be the one or if it's going to be Petrovic. You'd think spending 25 million on Petrovic, it's going to be him. But there is still the prospect of Neto breathing down his neck, potential swapping of them as well throughout the season, which I'm not a big fan of. But yeah, just me personally, I don't trust Bournemouth and their defense enough. I don't think they've done enough to improve that stock this season. I don't look the Bournemouth defensive system. It goes all right. Kepa was all right last season for them, but I do think Petrovic is a better keeper than Kepa nowadays. And if you're willing to go there at 4.5, I will say it's fair enough. I just don't see too much money making ability, especially with those opening matchups straight into Liverpool, Wolves, Spurs, Brighton, Newcastle, Leeds. It's all right matchups, but I don't respect the money making prospects enough to go there myself.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the dynamic of the money shifting does happen with the 3-round rolling average and everything like that. I think the 25-year-old, moving for 25 million, I think he comes in as a number one. I think there's good potential for him to be making some points. Liverpool game week 1 is tough, and it's also putting faith into Bournemouth, which they performed well last year, but historically have been a below mid-table side, but have made some decent acquisitions. They've got good attackers and an okay backline. But for 4.5 million, I definitely think he's worth a bit of a punt, especially if you're looking at loading up. We'll talk about forwards in a couple of weeks, but SuperCoach have put a lot of the big dogs up front, and away from the midfield. So if you're needing to find some money for them, 4.5 million for a guy who I think could average, I don't know, 5.5, 6 points a game this season, which is a little bit of value, which it's not piles. But putting faith in Bournemouth is never fun, but hopefully they can continue doing what they did last week. Mate, the stock rises. One player each that we are really bullish on. I think I've made it known with how much I was glazing him earlier. It's Vicario from Tottenham, 5.2 million, 4.3% owned. The big issue is Kinski down his neck. But if we get word that Vicario's won that number one spot, I'm really, really keen on him. We do have preseason happening basically as we speak, so we'll be getting more an idea on how teams are looking, shapes that they're running, and how they're overall sort of looking to the eye. But I just think there's so much improvement with Tottenham this season that 5.2 million for Vicario could be 6.3, 6.4 by season's end.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk you out of Vicario for sure, especially if he's the one that locks down that number one jersey. Yeah, I do think he does beat out Kinski. Kinski's still only 21. They probably want to give him another year of at least backups before they look to him or move off Vicario. But yeah, to start the season, it's a decent opening fixture. They do have Man City game week 2, which sucks. But around that, they've got Burnley, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, and Leeds as the opening 7. So definitely good and favourable opening fixtures for Tottenham. And I am interested to see how he goes in a Thomas Frank defensive system. I do think there is money to be made, and there is definitely value in him. So yeah, I'm happy to give that one a very safe tick of approval.
I also think Frank's not going to be making mass changes early on. So you've just read out the first 8 weeks. I think 8 weeks is a really good sample size to get an idea on how a team's going to be looking. The beauty with not only Vicario, but also Tottenham as a whole is Anton Kinski comes in at 5.2 million as well. Pretty much the exact same price. So whoever, look, I'm going to put on the record, whoever is the number one, I think I'm probably starting with. Both of them present unreal value in a side that I think can improve drastically. They can't get any worse. As the great Mick McCarthy said, it can't get any worse, can it? Maybe it can, but maybe it can. I really hope not, because that means Tottenham would be in a relegation battle. But I think under Frank, there's just a lot of upside for not only Vicario, but Kinski if he does get the start, which I'm like you, I don't think he does. This might be a bit of fantasy footballers copium, hoping that the cheap asset does start. So I think it's Vicario. I think it will be Vicario for the first quarter of the season, which gives us plenty of chance to look at them. If it's going wrong, then so be it. But I think with that fixture, it's just probably too good to pass up.
Yeah, and even looking at the sheet on your screen that we have there for the expected goals and expected clean sheets, they conceded more goals than they were expected to. They kept less clean sheets than they were expected to, and that's the difference between like you look at the Liverpool game last season where he conceded 4 goals or whatever, he went -4, and then you look at a game where he gets a clean sheet, he scores 15 because he gets 8 and saves a couple shots. It's a big difference. Just even A clean sheet is just so big for goalkeepers, and anyone who's under that expected clean sheet thing, you got to feel unlucky for them, and just hope it improves this season. Which I think for Spurs it sort of has to, especially with Frank wanting to focus on the league for sure.
Yeah, and expected goals, for anyone that's not familiar, it's just a metric that takes how good of a shot is, or the look that it's worth. I think expected goal from a penalty is like 0.85. I think the league conversion rate's 85%. So if they're taking like a wonder strike well outside the box, it's going to be worth very, very little. And if it goes in, then it's bad variance. You do have players that historically perform above XG. Jamie Vardy was a typical one. Heung-min Son is another one that they don't need good chances to finish. They're just unreal finishers. And you have guys like Darwin Núñez or Romelu Lukaku that have unreal chances that probably aren't as clinical. So there are players that run above and below historically, but when we're looking at this data, we expect Spurs to sort of revert back to the mean a little bit there. And I'm looking very heavily at that Brentford data from Thomas Frank last season and putting some weight in the fact that I think the defense is just a little bit better. Pedro Porro, Destiny Udogie, Mickey van der Ven, and Christian Romero with Vicar at the back there. I think it can only improve from last season. But, mate, who are you really bullish on this season?
Yeah, sort of spoke on him a little bit before. Robert Sanchez from Chelsea, especially that opening 8 sort of fixtures for Chelsea, really has me enticed on at least getting a one defensive asset from them, whether it be him or I'm pretty big on a guy like a Levi Colwill or something like that. But I think Sanchez would probably be my guy that I would go for. He's only 200k more expensive than a David Raya, and I think for that opening 8 weeks or whatever, where we look at how teams go, and if we need to make a trade at the goalkeeper position, Chelsea have a more favourable draw. There's more clean sheet potential. There's no number one battle no more with Petrovic off to Bournemouth. The backups not great for Chelsea. Probably Philippe Jorgensen, who he won't take over Robert Sanchez. 10th most saves in the Prem last season, which was quite high for how well Chelsea did. They finished 4th. There's definitely points for saves available. 4th best for goals conceded per match and 4th in clean sheets. If he can stay healthy, unlike he did last season, give me a full 38 games, I'm happy to take Robert Sanchez at the price. He's just a safe play with some just clean sheet points on the horizon. And, Chelsea are a very safe team with their back line as well.
And that's going to be a bit of a theme during the week, during the season. Like, goalkeeper is not a place where I'm wanting to be ripping through trades, looking to pick someone and sort of have them there for a bit, which probably puts me off a guy like Duarte Petrovic, who will have runs, but the start of the season isn't ideal. So, we'll talk about that sort of more as we move forward. Mate, back to full screen. Let's talk about some guys that we loathe, that we absolutely cannot understand. And mine, he's ranked 11th, so he didn't make the top 10. But it's Queven Kelleher out of Brentford. What are we doing here? It's 2.5% owned. What are those people doing? 8.02 million. You're paying Liverpool prices for a guy at Brentford who Ryan Mbromo left. Johan Vissa doesn't want to train. Thomas Frank's gone. Christian Norgaard's gone. It's chaos at Brentford. I reckon they're serious relegation candidates. And obviously Kelleher, huge hype in like an FPL because he's 4.5 million, so cheap and locked in number 1. But he's priced off his starts playing for Liverpool last season, 8.02 million, the most expensive goalkeeper in a team who I think could be fighting relegation. This is crazy.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think it probably just comes down to the fact that some of these guys are coming off FPL, or that they might just be playing SuperCoach and they don't really know a thing about EPL, and they just go, "Oh, he's the most expensive guy. He must be the best guy." Something like that. That's the only way I can see it. But yeah, I agree with you. Kelleher's surely he drops cash pretty quickly. The opening run for Brentford's pretty ordinary as well. Nottingham Forest, Villa, Sunderland, Chelsea, Fulham, Man United, Man City. Yeah, not ideal. You expect him to drop a bit.
I'm only confident in Sunderland there.
Yeah,
as like
literally.
clean sheet potential.
Literally. And, keepers, the big thing is going to be their clean sheets. He's not going to make enough saves and whatnot to be, keep up the 8 average that he's priced at. And I don't trust the Brentford defense anymore. Even the Brentford midfield that was pretty huge last year, half of them are gone. We spoke about the forward lines basically out the window. Igor Thiago is going to be the starting striker at this rate. Pretty pretty much, mate. I have no interest in Kelleher unless he drops all the way back to 4 million at this rate.
I think you'll rack up the save points, but that's about it. Yeah, I think Christian Norgate leaving is huge for their defensive makeup.
Yeah.
I think, like, obviously, yeah, Wissa doesn't want to be there and Bromo's gone. I understand that those guys are out. Aaron Hickey never really kicked on at right back there. Like, I'm concerned over Brentford, and I'm concerned over the 2.5% of people that are picking Keeman Kelleher as their starting goalkeeper.
Yeah, I would advise you change that. To be fair, Aaron Hickey did have a good game in practice a couple of days ago, but I don't even know if he gets a starting job over Keen Lewis Potter, to be honest. So
no, not do I. Not do I. Who are you not keen on out of that list? I think yours did feature in the top 10, so probably a little bit more relevant.
Yeah, Emiliano Martinez. I just don't understand paying any money over 3.5 for a guy who isn't even going to play game week 1. The run for Villa isn't too bad. Obviously, we spoke about they go into Brentford game week 2, so there's potential clean sheets there. But besides that, he might not even stay at Villa. He's still linked to United. They've been on and off. At Villa he only kept 8 clean sheets last year, and if we go back to that table, which I don't know if you've got it there again, we can bring it up slightly. The expected clean sheets were real low, and he only kept 8 of those 9. Look, if he does go to Man United, the fixtures are pretty horrible again to start the season. Once it loads for me, we've got Arsenal, which he would miss anyway, Fulham, Burnley, then straight into Man City, Chelsea, which straight away that signals probably a loss in points and money just on goals conceded. Brentford, Sunderland, Liverpool, Brighton, and Forest. Yeah, I don't like Emi Martinez as a pick so far. If he drops money back a bit more, potentially, but I don't think Villa want him there anymore. Like, I don't think he wants to be there anymore. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I mean, this is unreal. Like, Fantasy Football Hub, link in the description if you want to sign up. You can filter through attack, defense, points, goals, clean sheets, whatever. If we look at the first 10, I think United, like, here we are, like 2.4 expected clean sheets. Arsenal are at home, Fulham and Fulham. Who knows what's meant to
Burnley potential, but straight after that, it's tough.
City, Chelsea, Brentford, maybe Sunderland, Liverpool. Like, you've probably got, I think this is pretty big on like between 2 and 3. And they're ranked as the 16th best for goalkeepers at the start of the season. So, I can't get behind Emilio Martinez. I can't get behind Quim Kelleher. Can get behind Vicario. Can get behind Robert Sanchez as well. But that actually was a lot quicker than I thought. I think defenders, midfielders, and strikers are going to take a lot longer.
Yeah.
But we're going to get the episode done in under 50 minutes. Final thoughts. Goalkeepers, it's weird. You look at the ownership percentage, 33% for Raya, 30% for Trafford, and then it drops off a cliff. I think it's really open. Like, I would imagine a lot of the people that are picking Raya have picked Trafford.
Yeah.
I think Burnley is an interesting place to look now with Trafford leaving. Like, there is some spots opening up. You've got Maxwell and you've got Tony Green. Like, they're young.
Yeah, I assume Max Weiss is probably the guy that does get the starting spot at Burnley. I would like Stefan Ortega to go there. That's what I would hope, and I wouldn't mind picking Stefan Ortega if he does go there. But I'm not sure it's going to happen now.
Max Weiss is currently my goalkeeper too, but he's 3.5 million. I think that's probably where I'm going to end up playing if Ortega doesn't come over to Burnley. I'm not sure what Burnley's model really is. Like, last time they were in the Prem, they had company. I think they just sort of knew they were going to go back down, and they just planned for a championship rebuild, which they did very, very effectively. But Max Weiss, I think at 21, he's definitely a guy for the future German international, 3.9 million. He's a guy that I'm really looking at. But it's a place where I'm not looking to spend a huge amount of trades, mate.
Yeah, no, 100%. And look, I'm probably either if my setup will most likely be if Edison and Ortega leave, it'll be Trafford and a loop, which we sort of can touch on quickly. So for anyone that's new to SuperCoach or hasn't played a SuperCoach game, A loop is essentially you get two chances at a captain. So if you set a vice captain who plays before your non-playing player, so we have a non-playing player in Harry Tyre, who's Everton's third string goalkeeper. He won't get a game this season. As long as your vice captain plays before your captain and your non-playing player, if he goes well, I can put Harry Tyre onto my starting goalkeepers, and I'll get my starting goalkeeper score anyway because he's not going to play. I'll also get my vice captain score doubled as long as I put the captain on my non-playing player. We can maybe do you can sort of quickly demonstrate it here on screen. Placing your non-playing goalkeeper.
Who should we put?
Just put Tyra, the TY.
There you go.
And then let's say you've got.
I think it's key. It's key to look at this other fixtures too. Like let's look at an early fixture. Let's say I want to vice captain Ian Matson play the second game of the week, and I want to captain Bruno Fernandes because United play very late. Obviously, Ian Matson comes in, scores 15 points. Amazing. What you would do then is you would swap Tyra in and you would captain him. The app recognizes he doesn't play. You would get Vicaria's score replacing Tyre, and Matson's score would be doubled, and you'd still get Bruno. So it's key to have your vice captain before your main captain on the side, and you can see it on the SuperCoach app by games that are played and sort of times. And yeah, with SuperCoach this year, mate, rolling lockout, which is huge.
Yeah, 100%. And the reason we look at a guy like Tyra is Everton play really late in almost every game week up to about game week 14, like the fifth match or later. So you can have a VC in the first 4 matches in every week up to round 14, and you can run a VC loop. So it's a big thing in NRL SuperCoach, AFL SuperCoach. These guys who have played FPL wouldn't be used to it because lockout, as soon as it happens, it's done. You're on to the next week. But rolling lockout, mate, there's a lot more strategy that goes into it.
Yeah, very much so. And we probably won't be active on the socials at 2:15 in the morning to help you guys out. So it might be a bit of a case of fending for yourselves there, but we'll try and help you as much as we can in the previews. What to look out for this week? Well, as we said, preseason games have started. I think Bruno scored a brace early this morning, which is sent my team into spiraling. But we'll be posting on Twitter mostly at SC Whisperer, at SC Deadly, as much sort of information as we do. Deadly is a contributor for Insight on the AFL side. I'm a contributor to the NRL side. So if you do follow us, just be prepared to put up with that for the next 5 or 6 weeks, and then straight into SuperCoach EPL. But next week, mate, it's all about the defenders. It's definitely it's a big one. We've got a couple of really, really attacking wing backs that have come in at mid-price, a bunch of centre backs that have come in quite cheap, and of course, some of the big boys up top over 10 million, which is where we're going to be spending a fair bit of time. If you have enjoyed it, we do ask for a like, a follow, a 5-star review on your audio platforms, which we would really, really appreciate. And follow both of us. We're putting out some content. Still working out whether we're going to be doing some stuff on Instagram. I didn't have plans on making any content this off season, so I wanted to have a very, very chill 6 months, but that's not going to be the case. But mate, where can everyone find you if they do want to get around you?
Yeah, so at SC Deadly on X, Instagram, they're the main two. Or if you want to come watch the last couple weeks of AFL, I'll be on there. Some jumping in for some BBL content as well when that starts. Love the cricket as well, helping out Brano and Horse over there. So yeah, plenty going on for my off season.
Yeah, I was looking forward to a quiet off season, but it's not happening now. We've got SuperCoach EPL. But if you have enjoyed this kind of podcast, the Insight Fantasy Network does a wide range. NRL, AFL, NBL, BBL, NBA, NFL, now EPL.
Yes.
I reckon Matty might be stitched up with a bit of F1 fantasy if that does come over to SuperCoach, but there's plenty to come. Give us a follow, and hopefully you've enjoyed the first episode of Talking Tactics, your weekly EPL SuperCoach podcast. Have a good one.